Stream number 38. It's like the 38th stream in a row where I've gotten the transcoder. I guess now everyone gets a transcoder. All right. Doing some cleanup. What happened there? Oh, weird. Okay. I don't think we need this. It's just done. Done and done, right? I was curious why the parser needs to be mutable. Why is parse mutable? Does that need to be mutable? It doesn't. Well, great news. You don't need to be mutable. That reminds me, I could turn on Clippy warnings. But first, let's do the to-dos. We got 11 of them. Consider refactoring out the match. Okay. If it's vacant, it's okay entry. If it's occupied, we're either returning the whole entry again. Okay, so really we're just getting the entry. Let entry equal. And we're saying if entry matches hash map occupied entry, and locals is none, then collision. Right? Entry. I have considered and I have completed the refactoring there. So, wonder if there's a cleaner way to ask if it's occupied. If entry, can I ask it, is it occupied? Wouldn't that be cool if we could? Non-part is different from local. I wonder if the meaning of this is still correct. The intent. It's still meeting the intent. This is if it's an ignore or look ahead. Register the component only if it has a name. Headers the key child always, at least at first. Also mark it as local if the goal is not to make a part. If marked as local, it could be referenced within the current context, but will be removed from the key child once the composite is fully ingested. Yes. Okay. Did you know that the quality of this stream is excellent? We are at anywhere from 2,500,000 bits per second to 2,700 or 800,000 bits per second. That's a lot of bits. Don't actually need an error right here, so maybe this needs further refactoring. Error value. We got rid of the error value, right? Now we're setting an error flag. So considering this again, this side effect of having an error. By the way, if I try to remember that that is Alt-Shift-H. Alt-Shift-H. Huh. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think I'm okay with that. So we're good with that. Moving on. Okay, yeah, the pedantic and nursery warnings. We'll get to those in a bit. Oh yeah, we need to refactor this. Correct. Path into the child, yes. Just remembered. Do I have a to-do for considering making nil? Testing extended vector components, but not filled souls. I made a test for that, right? Extend with assignment. Yeah. So that's done. I did that. Now it should be take it back out, right? Take back out the backwards compatibility. Okay, I don't have in here. Consider representing nil values as value, data value, nil, rather than using option data value and none for nil. Okay. In the meantime, I think I'm just going to remove this to do because when I need a different starting point other than the current composite, that's when we'll add it. If I take that out as another function, it would clean this up, right? Possibly two functions here. So this updates value, right? Actually, we could just assign value because if it's ever assigned anything up here, it's an error. So it means it shouldn't be assigned down here. I can just assign it. It could be the turn value of this whole thing. Okay. So let me take these lines, the for loop lines. Make a copy of that. Something. I don't know. I don't remember what we're doing in that. But we're generating an optional data value, right? Hey there, A squared. You are first today. Happy Sunday. So, that's impossible, right? We can't have values set there, can we? We have part set, but not value shouldn't be set. Oh, that's inside the for loop, so that's fine. Yeah, so that we actually have to declare it up here. Let mute value equals none, and then return value here. Woohoo! First. Ref part. So this should be passed in. So this is like indices, right? And this is expression. So this becomes indices. Okay, so obviously we're returning an error. Okay, and we also need to pass in part iterations. Wait, what was the other thing then? Oh, the reference. Okay, so that's a different kind of, so that's at ref indices. And that's one of these. Reference? No. Actually, I guess that would be an expression. But I actually have a better type for this, right? Well, it's just expression. Vec expression. So it's not borrowed there. Okay, that's ref indices. Well, I guess we could call it indices. Still don't know what I'm going to call this yet because I'm bad with names. Okay, so we need a path as well. Does this update the path as we go? It should be. Why is this not updating the path? Oh, it does inside of here. Right, it adds that to it. Okay. So this is mutable reference to a path. Okay. So part looks like we need to pass that in. Component, right? Data component. Hey there, Nightshade dude. My weekend's been busy, but that's self-inflicted busyness. I don't know if you're here to see it, but I got this working. I guess I don't have it in my command history, so I'll have to just type it in. Debug ingest GIF. It's format first, right? No, it's data first, and then format first, or second. So I got the Rust code to actually parse the GIF file all the way to the end. It's slightly faster than the C++ code. It was like 0.18 seconds versus 0.22 or something like that. So slightly faster than the C++ code, apples to apples comparison. Yep, progress. So it turns out there are a lot of different vector, how do I show this best? A lot of different vectors involved here. about if I do 0 equals? Nope, too many matches. I can just show the output that I captured last night. New. So I already knew that there were lots of data blocks. There's 61 of them, right? From 0 to 61. But even within some of these data blocks, there are like lots of like embedded loops. So like there are these local color tables. Actually, color tables are the most reported thing because we're reporting every single fragment. But for some reason last night, it took forever to get this like number to be on the right of data. It kept going to the left and it was frustrating. One of those cases where I was just working too late and my brain just wasn't working. And the secret Netscape code is in here too, right? That all works? Yeah. The secret authentication code for Netscape embedded in this GIF. Let me think. Would I call it a GIF or a GIF? I think I'd call it a GIF file. GIF just sounds weird to me. I think I'm coming down on the side of it being GIF. It's so funny that it still exists. What the code that's in there? That's how standards work. Like if you manage to get your name or identifier into the format, and then all writers just write it, then it's immortalized until something supplants GIF file format. It'll just be in there, and that can be like something you tell at nerd parties. You say, "Did you know all GIFs have the word Netscape in them, along with the application authentication code?" Never did look that up to see what it's actually supposed to be used for. So originally Netscape 2.0 that implemented looping GIFs, so they used an application extension block, and then all the browsers just accepted that block. There you go. We are skipping some kind of secret 24 bits. There's basically a data sub block with that application extension, and we're skipping it because I didn't know how to parse it. So yeah, a lot of progress. All of the to-dos in the code are done. Now I'm going through the to-dos in the comments, and there's some like loose ends to tie up, like map lookups don't work. So I had to like change the grammar so that we're not using maps anymore, we're using vectors. But I wasn't using a map in a way that needed it to be a map with keys. I just needed to have a tuple. And I had forgotten that you can make a tuple, so I just changed it. Now that we've done the speed comparison between C++ and Rust, I can take out the backwards compatibility and clean up the grammar again. And then this might be a big thing today, is to consider getting rid of option for data value and just having a nil data value type or variant. Because there's just too many options, and we have options of options and results of options and options of results options, and yeah, it was just a mess. Right now I'm refactoring a bit of the R value dereferencing. That's the Illuminati data block? Yeah, it is. Now you know. Now you know there's a secret Netscape block with a secret authentication code that opens a secret door in the National Archives where the Holy Grail is kept. Right? Value ref. Why is this optional? Shouldn't we always do that? Or is it just the first index does that? I think what we should do is, well, we need the iterations too, right? What do we need part for? We need parts iterations and parts value. So just pass in the part and just leave this code the way it is. But you know what I can do is this value ref can just be none up here. This has some info about the Netscape extension block. It's a 1 byte block ID and then 2 bytes loop count. 0 to loop forever. But what does it mean? I closed it, didn't I? Does it say what it means? This 24-bit region? There's 3 bytes in there, right? I could skip to it because it tells me exactly where it is, right? It's at 31C. 31C. Actually, I didn't have to scroll very far at all. It's near the top. 31C. So there's Netscape. C. So it's just 100. And followed by a size of 0. Yeah. So there's the size of 3, and there's a 100, and then there's a block size of 0, which means stop. So the 100 means something. We don't know what it is, right? Oh, is that the authentication code? 2.0? Yeah. Because it's a 3-byte long authentication code, and that the authentication code is 2.0. Those 24 regions is those 3 bytes that you said, yeah. Oh, you said it's a block ID and then a loop count, and 0 means to loop forever. So if I change this, one of these zeros to something else, I guess it would be probably this one because it's little endian. If I change that to 1, it would only loop once. So then the question is, do all GIF viewers behave like obey this control block or not? Because sometimes what'll happen is 99.99% of the files out there for a format will do it one way, and so all players will just support that only, and then you actually lose support for the 0.001% that did it a different way. Yeah, we'd have to see, like, if we change this to be a non-zero, would it stop looping? It may be historical now, exactly. Okay, well, that's sort of a letdown that the secret authentication code was just the version of Netscape. Okay, so this is going to be also mutable, right? Value ref. So does value ref actually get anything if we get... So see, value ref is only used inside that if, so why don't I just set it to... Oh wait, no, value ref might be something else coming into this. Hold on. Value ref. I don't see value ref. Hold on. Oh, because I cut it right here at this loop. So there is a none at the beginning. And this is only used inside of this, right? I didn't pull that out, did I? But I want to pull that out. That's after the loop's done. So value ref is all internal to this thing. Okay, well if that's true, then it's always going to be none at the beginning. So why don't I just start it out at value ref is part value, like that, and then I don't need that block at all. So do I need this expect? Is value ref ever none? I don't think it actually can ever be none. So why don't I just make it part value to start with? And then I don't need this as ref expect anymore. And I don't need this sum. And I don't need this unwrap or. Yeah, it's just always going to be equal to value ref. So delete that. And this it's fallible, so we have to say OK value, right? Option value. Why is it option value? Oh, it is option value. Hold on. It is option value. Because of the other thing we were talking about, right? But what a pain. I think we'll try to fix that very soon. Assume Firefox implements it right, then you go test. Will Firefox and your system entry support non-infinite loop blocks by reading that block? I don't know what they do if that block is missing, though. And it's indeed little endian. Yeah, the whole file is little endian. No nested option. Well, thanks for checking. Let me reward you with some useless internet points. Just so that, Sarian can't catch up to you anymore. He was starting to earn points again, and like, well, A squared and Nui are in the lead, right? Is that right? I don't have a bot command for it, so I have to like browse the DB directly. Let's see, according to the database. Browse data, go to user tables, sort by points. Nui has 265, Toulouse has 260, A squared has 170. Sarian is 97. So you're 70, you're a good 73 points ahead of Sarian still. So not to worry, you're not going to lose your lead. Oh, thank you, A squared. Giving me stuff to read later. That means you get another point. This is how A squared gets all these points, because they're so helpful. Okay, so this needs to be, well, actually I don't need to reference a reference. It's too bad we couldn't have used those points in Omnia Reignia, right? Maybe one day. So part needs to be mutable. Does it need to be like returned back out? We loop, but it needs to be the last loop, right? Because by that point, we'll have assigned something to value. And so if we actually loop back up, we can't path into it anyway, so we don't actually need part to come back out. So that's fine. Does this even need to be done then? Yes, because there's a loop. But wait, why? Oh yeah, yeah, we do need to iterate. So this does need to be mutable. All right. That's already a reference. Already a reference. I think we're good. So what is this? This is something similar to what I had before, like walk index. So this is like walk iteration or index path. Walk iterations or vector. Okay, and do we need self? Yeah, because we're evaluating expressions. Okay. The alternative would be like I had to do in the mutable dereference, the L value dereference, where we had to pre-compute all the expressions because self is needed to evaluate expressions. This one didn't need that though. Okay, so then it's just here, right? And we're getting back the value. So we say if we have indices, value equals walk let it type it for me. There we go. Part, the indices is ref part indices. and a question mark, right? Because it can fail. And then should be able to delete all of this. Okay, and then let's rerun the test. Cargo, next test. One day we shall use those points for something good. Oh, I broke something. Vector indexing component vector. Component vector, yes, okay. How did we break this? Failed, we got none on 389, so we got nothing from foo. Okay, so going into it as a iteration, it didn't get the value back out. Okay, so it's not empty, so we should be going into it. We assign back to value, right? Okay. So value ref starts as the parts value. Oh, we don't want to do that. No, I remember that. Why? We only want to go into the value ref if the iterations is empty. If the iterations is not empty, actually, hold on. Yeah, it'll say it's not indexable, right? Is that what the test said? It actually didn't do any diagnostic. It should, I think it should have, but it didn't. Okay. I would have thought it would have, so it didn't hit that. Weird. Oh, because it's not empty. It's full, so it would have gone into here. Vector index range check, evaluate the expression, the current parts iterations. Path. Okay, so it should have gotten down to the part. Value should have been none. Oh, yeah, the value ref is wrong. Okay, then what was it? It should be. Oh yeah, I messed this up then. Okay, so I need to undo a little bit. Get this code back. Yeah. So we actually need this unwrap or because the value ref does need to start out with none because we only assign it if the iterations is empty. So yeah, I messed it up. I thought I was able to reduce that, but that's wrong. So that actually needs to go there. And it needs to be an option, so it needs to start out as none. And then I need this. Although maybe I can I want to try to refactor away the expect there. And this final, like if it's none, then get it, then make it something, replaces this thing right here. Okay. And this is again a sum thing, right? Okay, now I think I can put this back. Where was I? Wait, that's not right, is it? No, that's what I'm replacing with, right? And this is the code I'm deleting. Yes. Okay. Okay, that was it. So this is still kind of long-ish, but at least it doesn't indent very far, and each section has a comment. I suppose I could make that another function. in the name would help say what we're doing. But this is a special case. If there are no indices provided and we're parsing in a vector context and the part has iterations, automatically select the current iteration. So there's a special use for that. And it was mostly ergonomic. It was so that I didn't have to actually use manual indexing. And I made a test for that. This one. So we're in a vector context with a loop, right? And we parse something. So that means X is a vector. So this was breaking because it would try to dereference X and say, well, X is a vector. You can't add 0 to a vector in an R value reference. Actually, it doesn't even have a vector value yet. It's a vector part with no value. So this was nil, and it was saying can't add 0 to nil. So the solution is, if we're in a vector context and we have a part that has iterations because we've parsed into it, then automatically add the current loop counter as if I had done that, right? Or as if I had done that, really. So I could do that manually, and that should also work. But but I wanted for convenience to be able to omit the index when I'm still in the same context. So that's what that special case is. So I have that special case, because that could maybe be its own function that describes the special case. And this is the thing we just refactored out. So if we have indices, we descend into the components iterations and expect a value and index into it. So this ought to be like comments that are in here. That part of it, right? Otherwise, so this is an otherwise. If we don't go into this if, then we check this one. Actually, that's not an otherwise. This should be an else if, right? Well, these are mutually exclusive, right? But it might not be empty. Yeah, I could put an else if here, but it doesn't matter. We'll just say if we have indices, descend into the components iterations. Oh, my dog! Do you hear the dog? Or vector elements. Oh, my dog! Can you hear the doggy? Dog is barking in the other room because Mrs. Reimer just got back from the store. I think with the pumpkin. Might be doing the family might be doing some pumpkin carving in the background. Okay, now is this sufficiently refactored? First, descend into the components that iterations setting. Next, expect a vector value and index into it. So maybe it's not clearly marked up here. So I should say first. The comment here kind of goes the same as what I had up here. If we've extracted a value, it's an error not to be at the end of the path, right? First, descend into the components iterations, if any. Then the next,
Hey, chat.
Yeah, it's telling chat that you guys got a pumpkin.
Hey, chat. Chat. It's on 2:31.
It insists on removing that blank line, so I guess that's okay. First, descend the components iterations, if any. Next, expect, or otherwise, or next, expect a vector value and index into it. I did get a haircut, Spoof. You're the first person to notice. So I'm going to give you 3 points. Pumpkin just adds spice and latte. No, they got to carve it. We're not eating this pumpkin. Although maybe we could use the seeds and stuff. Sometimes we'll roast the seeds. I don't think we've ever used like the rest of the pumpkin. Double digits? Yeah. You now have 12 points. That puts you in like the top, like, let's see. Like it's a pretty long tail curve because there are a lot of people like with 1 or 2 points. Let me open my database again and glance at it. So I want to go browse data. I want to look at user table and I want to make this window wider. You guys can't see this window, but that's okay. I only have to go down like to number 50 to see the people with 12 points. So you're tied with Greyjack, Aura Driven, and Aiden Garth. You now have 1 more point than Nathaniel Bumpo, Arimeth, Goon, Pontoon, Atomic Nibble, CM Griffing. Wow, you have 1 more point than CM Griffing. How come he only has 11 points? Japfo only has 10. Yeah, but it's a really long tail. I could tell you the number of users who have at least 1 point. There are a lot of users with 1 point. Okay, so there are 439 chat users in chat who have at least 1 point. There's someone in chat who has a point and they've never actually chatted. I wonder how that's possible. Might have given them a point by accident. I can tell you how many users the bot has seen. The bot has seen 27,016 users. So the vast majority of those users have never actually done any chatting. They've just been seen in chat, like as in like the user list. Let's see if I can sort by number of chats, right? Number of messages. Sorting by number of messages. Yeah, it's a vast majority have never chatted. We have so many lurkers. Okay, there have been 3,172 users who have at least chatted once. The top chatter is me at 13,159 chat. Hey there, TB Schneider. Second place is A Squared. A Squared, you've chatted almost 2,000 times more than my own bot. That's pretty impressive. My bot comes in third at 5,108. Then 715209, then Nui, then TS Joss, Toulouse, Musin. I didn't know Musin wrote so many messages in my chat. Endoran, Sarian, Silmeth, Man, Red Rampage, Crumpet, Grampy Game Dev, Rally Monkey, Stream Elements, 1,231 times. That's the second place bot. So I see where Nightshade Dude is. How do I search? Control F. Nightshade Dude, as a chatter, you're in 32nd place. Actually, no, you just chatted, so I think you're now tied with the Epic Unknown at 645 messages. And you only have 2 points, Nightshade Dude? Come on, you should have more points than that. Yeah, I don't know. I find data like that fascinating. I get really distracted by it. Used to be around for hours. Well, that's when I was working on more fun stuff like games, right? Now I'm doing this boring stuff. Okay, this we're going to try to deal with today. This is the fact that we have this option value where really it maybe should just be value. And they don't have to do this let sum. And then like all values including nil can go to string easy. I'm going to call this refactor to move on. So go back to to-dos. I wish I could tell it to permanently close those. All right. These fun ones we can turn on. You'll maybe regret uncommenting this. You will undoubtedly regret uncommenting this. Okay, needs refactor. That's what we just did. We just did that. Good enough, right? Okay, that we're about to do. Support possible. I don't need this comment anymore. Like I described before, if we ever have other starting points, I'll be compelled to come here anyway, so find the innermost children. Okay, these are all the same to do, just in 3 different spots. Okay, uncomment once backwards compatible grammar is removed. So let's go remove the backwards compatible grammar, because I'm done with that. So we now have plus and minus are optional goals. So most of it's in the grammar, right? These backwards compatible rules, we're going to remove them and pull back in the goal. Goal. Let's just search for goal. Right, so this comes back in, and then I had some rule called opassign. We don't need any more of that. We don't need any more, right? Yeah, so we're going to remove opassign. Because we don't need it. It's obsolete. No results. I'm going to need to search for that. Cause it's going, it's gone. Dead. Don't care about that. Okay, so this is no more. Nursery cannot be bulk enabled. There are unsatisfiable ones and conflicting ones. But I did the other day. Pedantic is not meant to be bulk enabled, but it's actually possible to use most of the time if you want to spend 5 days fixing. But I'm used to doing the pedantic warnings a squared. Whoops. Drop my right keyboard wrist rest onto the ground. I'm used to doing the hold on. I'm used to doing this. I actually usually keep that enabled as I'm working. But you're saying it's not meant to be bulk enabled? Suppose your code might not hit the cases in nursery that are totally broken. I actually, when I enabled that, just to marvel at all the warnings I was getting, there were actually a whole bunch of legit ones that I was thankful that we saw. So I think once I get all the to-dos done, and before I do the next major thing, I'll turn on pedantic, fix them all, and then we'll just turn on nursery and see if there are any that might help. I think this should go pretty quick. First, the opposite stuff. So we're deleting all references to it. Yeah, so the test is unnecessary now. This is in the Lexer source. I must have added that yesterday. No, that's not opassign. That's operation assignment. That's just a coincidence. Okay, mod opassign. We don't need that. Delete. No opassign. Yeah, this whole file can go, right? Yeah. So where's that file? Right here. Delete it. Move to trash. We don't need it. Delete. Leave the trailing comma, I guess. What's the key to go to the next? Go next match. Like go to next. Jump to next. That's bookmarks. Find next. Enter. That's if I'm up here, right? But what if I just have a find in file? Is there a go to next? Find next selection. So that's F3. 3. Ah, there we go. And go a little bit faster than with that. Okay. I probably broke a bunch of stuff, right? some warnings to fix too. Unnecessary mutts. It always takes longer to compile when it has to rerun the parser gen. All right. We don't need mutable there. Oh, we got a wall of text. Hold on. Oh yeah, I did this early on the stream today. I realized that this parse, it had a mutable self, and I never got a warning about it, and I realized, well, like, I don't need that to be mutable, right? So yeah, we don't need it to be mutable. One more. Don't need a mutable parser. And that makes it nice and lined up. All right, so I said I would do something next, right? What was it? I think it was we're gonna see what the pedantic warnings are. 109. Okay, we got 109 pedantic warnings. We got 247 nursery warnings. So let's just do the pedantic warnings. This method could have a must use attribute. Oh, must use that means if the return value is ignored, that would be sort of weird, right? So we should have a must use to warn whenever that happens. Okay, I forgot to read your wall of text. That's what it was. There's some good ideas in nursery, but most of the things in nursery are because the implementation of the lint is flawed, or it has too many cases where it incorrectly fires or doesn't fire and things like that. Also, just check that the manual just warns that pedantic can be too much. Thinking of restriction, which is also... So yeah, pedantic, I can most of the time remove all warnings, but there are a few cases where I have to manually, like, suppress them, and they're usually things like use... Like, it wants me to use, like, then some for... Or and then... in some cases where it actually makes it harder for me to read, or it introduces a function object that I didn't need to have before. And actually, there's one case where it actually broke. I did the recommended change, and because it put some of the code into a function object, it actually messed with the lifetimes and it didn't compile anymore. So I had to I'm like, I don't know how to fix this, and I liked it the way it is originally, so I'd have to suppress those warnings. And I'm okay doing that. I can suppress the warnings. So yeah, some of these, like, these are all the builder functions, right? It makes sense that you'd want to use them and not ignore the return value. Okay, next. I'm okay with fixing this because I like the idea that it should be called handle because and then when we re-export it from one level up from here, it will just be as. So it would be I don't actually see it. Am I in the right place? From this lib, there should be like bitstream, use bitstream. Oh, I guess we don't. Is it only here that we have the problem? Oh, well. Yeah, I guess we'll do it this way. Yeah, that's the only place where I actually had the import. Interesting. Huh. Okay. I have an error somewhere. Yeah, it's the same thing. I wonder if it's going to warn me about the subset thing too. Is it the same thing about the name? Oh no, that's a must use, right? Okay, I'm just going to glance for must uses. So it's going to be like the API level and stuff, right? All the public stuff. Maybe that's the last must use then. I know what's going to say about that. It's copy, so it's copy, so why am I taking a reference, right? Okay. Same thing here, right? Binary expression. Might as well do it by copy, and I agree. Remove some dereferences that we don't need. Unfortunately, it adds a dereference in a few places like that. But maybe by the time we get to this, we can, it's because binary operation, no, it's because the whole thing is borrowed. So everything inside is borrowed, I guess. Yeah. All right. You can disable pedantic and enable only must use. Oh, that's true, huh? I don't think we had any more though, but you're saying we can go to the top of this, disable that, and do a warn must use. I probably had to put Clippy in front of that. Cloppy or Clippy? It was just a must used? Wait, what? Unknown lit. Okay, I don't know what it's called. So what I'll do is I'll comment that out, comment this in, and actually put one back in that we took out. That was in like the API, right? If I take this one out, what warning do I get? Must use candidate. Must use candidate. Candidate. Okay, so there were 7 of them. So it looks like we have some more in here. Yep. Yeah, let's hit them all. That's a great idea. Such a great idea, A squared. It's like a point-worthy idea, don't you think? Get rid of all these all at once. There, all taken care of. I got really stingy on the points for the last year or two, right? Didn't really hand a whole lot out. I should remember to do all I can to thank those who helped the stream, even if they're kind of like useless internet points. I guess that is true, right? This should like be imported one level up as data component, but here it's just component. So one at a time, because this breaks stuff. So this should be component as data component. And hopefully everything imports through the lib. Yeah, and that's why it didn't break very much. And that's nice, because that's what I want to do. I want things to be imported from the API level if they're exported. One more, so value helpers. Okay, looks like... Does that export it from the API level? Or from the library level? I wanted to do that. So that's value helpers as data value helpers. Because there's the private value helpers that we don't want to export. So if this is just brought in as data value helpers, then we're cool. I don't know. Let's just go from the top. Reference. Very first warning here. Yeah, but we'll fix this later. We're done in else block. Oh, because we have a return there. So it's saying we return there, so we don't need that block at all. Oh, I do need this to go there. Implicitly cloning a string by calling toOwned on its dereference type. Consider using clone. Okay. I have no opposition to that. Right. This may truncate on value, but we do want it to truncate on a 32 white pointer machine because this is an index. So in this case, I want to allow possible truncation. And it's an error because we can't do it at that level. Oh, no, because I don't have a hashtag in front. And sometimes it does that because it has to be put at a higher level. No, we just have a second warning. May wrap around. Yeah, but we have this check in here for that, right? Well, I guess I can do, it's probably wants me to do try from, right? Yeah, we allow an error to be returned, so what if we just do I size try from? And then we'll just map the error on the way out. Actually, then I don't do okay, right? Yeah, I just return it. I just do that. Okay, and this doesn't work. Oh, this is one of those has a weird map error problem, right? No. Hold on. Expected. Oh, I don't want early return. Yeah. Okay. Hey, next programming. I made this myself. Look at that. Look at that. That was last year's project. That's your normal process. See a bunch of lint, just warn on it, get all done at once. Yeah. It's saying that you could also get a negative value from that cast. Yeah, that's why I wanted to do the try from. This one should be fine because that one's just this possible truncation one, right? Because I can put it there. I'm fine with truncation because I do need it to be an I size and I do need to fit in as an index, so it's all good. What keyboard layout do I use? Do I have that as a, I forget if I have a command for that. I use Colmac. I guess I don't have the command for that anymore. Let's make a link. Colmac mod DH. This is the layout I use. Add com. We should call it like layout. Raimu. Is it there? Probably. It uses a uses Colmac mod dash capital DH layout on his keyboard. Okay, and then test it layout. Looks good to me. Do you know why I picked this layout? Because first I got a corn keyboard, and Adam suggested to me that I try the Miryoku, I think it was, layout for it. So it was corn Miryoku. This one. Is there yeah, because I'm a 36 key keyboard, so I have to relearn shifting anyway, and I have to relearn layers. So he suggested I try this out. I don't see where the link is, but that's a mod, a Colmac mod DH layout. So retrospectively, I probably should have just stayed with QWERTY and first learned how to do a 36 key keyboard with what I already knew. But I was like, I don't know, a glutton for punishment, or I just wanted a challenge, and I switched to a lower count keyboard and the layout at the same time. Yeah, there are only 36 keys on this. There's 18 on each hand. So, but these ones out here, there's 3 shift keys per thumb, way over there, right? So I have 6 thumb shift keys that also double as space, enter, tab, backspace. You have 100? Yeah, well, my keyboard's pretty portable because it has fewer keys. It also allow me to wire it up without any ghosting problems with fewer GPIOs. So I only have like 5 columns and 4 rows. So theoretically I could have 80 keys, right? Is that right? 4 times 5 is 20 times, no, 40. I could have 40 keys, but I only have 36 because my thumb doesn't reach that far. How you switch between shift and space? Shift is actually, if I just tap T, it's T. But if I hold T and use keys on my right hand, it's capitals. Similarly, if I just tap N, it's N. But if I hold N down and do a key on the left-hand side, it's a capital. So I have 2 shift keys, and they're my index fingers that are normally T and N, but they become shift if I hold it down. And then the one next to it is usually S and E. Those are command. And then R and I are alt. And then the pinky keys A and O are control. Yeah, it's the home row mods. That's what it's called. Home row mods. Home row mods. Yeah, this. Pretty much that's what I do, right? That's shift. Well, this is sort of moved around. That's shift, and I don't know what that is, but that's alt, and that's something else. But that's kind of like what I do, only mine's ARST, not ASDF. Yeah, modifier shift control alt GUI. Yeah, so that's sort of what I have. And the same thing on my thumbs. It's if I just tap, it's a space, but if I hold it, then it becomes navigation with the right hand. And the other one, it's if I just tap the middle thumb key on the right, it's backspace, but if I hold it down, now I get the numbers on the left. Isn't that wacky? So if you see me like accidentally type TN, sometimes it's because I was trying to do capital N and I went too fast. Or it'll be TN or it'll be NT. And if you see me mistype stuff like if you see me do tab single quote, I was trying to do underscore and I did it too fast. So yeah, so that's the one problem, is that when a key means 2 different things depending on how long you hold it down, or if it's held down while you do something else, then inevitably your muscle memory is going to screw with you and you'll not hold it down long enough, or you'll hold it down too long and then it'll mean something different than what you tried. I got to take a quick break to say hi to someone just came over. I'll be right back. Yeah, people came over to hang out with my son, and he's doing pumpkin carving. So say hi to the guests who are over for that. Yeah. So if you're wondering why I like type like crap, then it's because it's harder to type on the reduced key keyboard. But I think I just like the challenge. Cast. Okay, so this is the same problem, right? So I want to allow some truncation here. Sign loss. That's different. Possible wrap. Sign loss. I think we're allowing these because that's intentional. Why is that bad? It's an expression. Okay. Why don't I just put it on the whole function? This could wrap around. Actually, that's probably safer to do as an ice size triform, right? Yeah, this is the one where I gotta do a map error. Yeah. They're too intent on their pumpkin carving to say hi to... I had to say hi like 2 or 3 times. Teenagers, like, don't respond right away. And sometimes, I don't know, is that because I'm the uncool parent, or is it because they communicate differently, or maybe they're just intent on what they're doing? But yeah, sometimes I gotta say hi a few different times. We're okay with losing this sign because that's intentional. We check to see if it's negative. So definitely don't care about sign loss. And it doesn't work on expressions. Put it there. I think I need to suppress this one. And I'm going to put a to-do associated with this. That this probably goes away. Probably can remove this once data value is includes nil. Okay, just 80 warnings left. Casting UA to UC4 may become silently lossy if you later change the type. So what? They want me to do U64 from? So it's not silently lossy? Sure, I can do that. I'm an accommodating developer. Seem to be trying to use a match for destructuring a single pattern. Okay. Yes, because I have a none and I have a sum. What do they suggest I do instead? Try if let. Else. Okay. I mean, we can try it. There we go. That's fine, right? Consider adding a semicolon for consistent formatting. Will do. Oh yeah, no semicolon. Obvious. Same thing here. More semicolons? Well, that one doesn't actually get a semicolon. What's this one saying? Why does it want a semicolon there? That's just weird. Okay, but if it wants it, that's fine. Variables can be used directly in... Oh, okay, cool. We were wondering about this. Right? That it should warn me about that. Okay, moving on. Return value unnecessarily wrapped. Wait, what? Oh, they're saying this is infallible. Okay. If it's infallible, it's infallible. It's just it becomes the caller's job. So that breaks here. We have to do okay. 69 warnings. That's a perfect number of warnings, right? Type description goes in here. Okay. I see more. I see more in the file. Was this clone? See, I'm guessing them already. I'm learning. This probably says it's infallible. So we should do this. Yep, I can learn. Consequence, error. Can you show me where the error is? Here it is. I have to say okay in front. 63. Okay, a couple more infallible functions. Wait, no, it's not infallible. There's some other warning here. Docs for function returning error or resolve missing errors section. Yeah, usually I wait until I need to document, so I'm going to suppress this one module wide. And say to do uncomment. Well, remove once library documentation is needed / wanted. All right. Wait, didn't I just tell it to suppress that? Or do I need to swap the order? I probably need to swap the order of this, right? Yes. Okay, actually that cut down the error significantly. This should be UI64 from. Actually, hold on. Why is bit signed integer? That should be unsigned integer. How did that become how did that become unsigned? How did that become signed integer? I don't know. Good, yeah, that is useless. Okay, cool. So we agree. That's weird. Does that mean some of my tests are gonna break? Or yes, test bit broke. Why is test bit requiring a signed integer? Yeah, why? Why? That's weird. All right. Fixed it. 34 errors. Warnings. Sorry. Warnings, not errors. More of this stuff, right? That type is... Okay, so it's the fact that it could overflow? This is intentional, actually. If the sign is 0, then it's safe to do that. Otherwise, we're doing this intentionally. So that's possible wrap. And actually, the wrap is actually intentional. So we want to intentionally allow it throughout. Okay, moving on. This should be safe if we're only using 8 bits. So we're going to allow possible truncation. We're accepting loss of precision. Allow. The whole thing. IM starts with, okay, yeah, so it should just be helpers. Okay, and that breaks a ton of things. Okay, I should go to the crate level and say, well, that's what I have, that's what it said. So why did that break? Data value helpers. No data value helpers. Yes, there is. It's right here. Data value helpers. Different crate or something? I'm confused. Crate level has pub use value helpers as data value help. It's not misspelled, is it? Okay, what am I missing here? If I am publicly using it as... Oh, should this be helpers? This doesn't exist? Yeah, that's what it is. So in data, right, this should be helpers as value helpers. That's the problem. Okay. Private helpers, because we're in data. Helpers. Okay, so we're gonna have this problem in a lot of modules then. Okay. I've accepted my fate of having to fix a lot of errors. Should import the value from the crate, but it's fine. If I had imported it from the crate, I wouldn't have had all of the errors about value helpers. Private value helpers is supposed to be private, and so that's why it's named private. It should not be public, but the tests need to be able to get to them. See, this one, if I had imported that from the crate and not super, it would not have broken. Another one that would not have broken. I sure love the fact that it sorts automatically. Whenever I don't have that now, I miss it. Okay, cool. So that's it for those errors. Warnings. Back to warnings. That's a cloned, right? It really doesn't like to owned. Long literal. Lacking separators. I'm surprised it didn't warn me about using a constant close to pi. Did I suppress that globally? I think I might have. That was a funny one that it did that. No, I don't see it. Was it in this? Oh yeah, it was this. This is a funny warning, by the way. It actually is an error. Approximate value of pi found. Consider using the constant directly. I'm like, nah, dude. It has to actually match this bit pattern, so it's this exact value. I can't use that constant. No, but if I use it, I won't get the right bit. It will be a slightly different bit pattern. It'll be off by 1 or something, right? Yeah, so I actually had to suppress that because just I picked pi, found the bit pattern online, and now it's always going to match exactly that. And it's just thought it was funny that Rust says, "Oh, well, you should use pi." I'm like, nah, dude. It's the same thing here, right? If I change that to a, well, one way I could fix it, right, would be to just change that to a 2, and now that to a 2, and now we have no problem, right? But no, I like pi. All right. Yeah, a funny one that, and actually interesting that it calls it an error. Okay, it doesn't like seeing 8 bits at a time, and I don't blame it. Who likes to see 8 bits at once? There, and there. Oh, my multi-cursor. What happened to my multi-cursor? I'm not holding down Alt, that's why. Holding down Control, not Alt. Yeah, you should almost always use pi, but why is it an error and not a warning? Could use F64 from bits? You mean when I do the function, it's in data value, the function to cast to, no, it's a function, it's implementation of data, isn't it? Ingest, okay, well, I guess we'll have to search for it. Ingest as D. You mean in this one? I'm using F64 from bits. Yeah, I'm already using that. This is where we actually do it. In the test, I'm not doing it. I think it's because in the test, I feel like I should pre-compute it. You're right, though. I could use this in the test, but then I feel like it's kind of cheating because then if I'm doing it in the implementation and the test does it too, then what am I really testing? I don't know. It seemed more of a genuine test to actually do it 2 different ways and make sure that they match. But yeah, it's sort of a weak argument, isn't it? Because you could say, well, you're just making sure that that's the function that you call in Rust. And I'd be like, yeah, that's right. So maybe that's what I should do. There's a case where we actually only get 6 bits and not 8. Which makes the separator even more important. 10 warnings. Okay, we're on the home stretch, right? Is it going to be all about bit patterns? See, I really have no trouble seeing 8 bits. But it says I should do this, so you know, I'm okay with that. This is actually more than 8 bits. That's 9 bits. And my eye was like, yeah, there's an extra bit there somewhere. 1 warning. Too many lines. But this is a test. This is a really cool test too. We're totally gonna suppress this one. This test has to be long. Because we're testing a lot of things. Okay, cool. We're done with pedantic. Should we turn on nursery? Just for fun. I should do the pedantic warnings in the other libraries too, right? Okay, we didn't regret it. We're actually cool with that. Here's the one we might regret, right? We still get 247. Oh, right. It's a lot about const function stuff, right? use of or followed by a function call. So they're telling me I should just use or fun call. There's something called or fun call? Really? Or do a fun call? Of course I'm going to do a fun call. Checks for or some function call unwrap or suggest to use or else. Oh, there is no or fun call. It's just or else. Unwrap or else. Unwrap or default. Why is it bad? The function will always be called. This is only bad if it allocates or does some non-trivial amount of work. The function has side effects. Not calling it will change the semantic of the program, but you shouldn't rely on that. Oh, right. It's saying that I'm always calling the function. So that could be a problem, right? This is saying I'm always calling map on the boundary, even if the... So I think that's probably okay to do or else. Plus it also formats it better if I do it that way. Not sure if you like const function lengths, since marking a function as const is an API guarantee. So I guess if we can prove, or we can make a claim, that it always should be a function with no... It's that it has a function with no compute, no reliance on runtime information, no I/O, no randomness, and no side effects, right? It has to be that it relies on nothing but its input, so it can be done at compile time, right? And no memory allocation, right? Or is memory allocation allowed in a const function? Yeah, I actually don't know what the rules are exactly. Okay, here's one that I don't know if I agree with. See, it says you should use a map or else, and here's what it does if I tell it to try that. It doesn't read as well to me. Like value as rep map or else nil and then value to string. I actually think it's easier to read this way. If it's some value, turn into a string, else it's not nil. But I already have this to do. Can we do it in a better way? And that's what we're going to handle with moving nil into value and not using option at all. Currently can't allocate in a const function, non-stable anyway. So that means they're moving to where you could allocate it on a const function. They just haven't finished it yet. You can't use for loops or even just using mutable references is restricted. Why can't you do loops? Can't... Is it more than just that? It can be you can know the output of the function for any input at compile time. So then why can't a compiler do a loop? Is it that they don't want the compiler to get stuck? For loop calls into iterator, which isn't const. Oh, so it's a technical, it's a API reason. Okay. Yeah, so what about this one? Map or else. What would it look like? Now what's the problem? It wants me to add a semicolon. Part iterations get as ref map or else. I don't like map or else because there's two functions there. I might just suppress that globally. Then again, this is just a nursery thing, right? I have to take a quick break. I'll be back in a few minutes. Please enjoy the chair stream. Hey there. You know, it's a cheap chair. Got it on Amazon for like $50 or something. It's like not that expensive. And you got a very creative name. I'm just gonna call you CO, like the captain or a company. Because I'm not getting into pronouncing that. Popcorn. Okay, that's a great way to put it. Popcorn, how are you doing? So question is, should I bother suppressing these, or do I just move on because we're just looking at the nursery warnings, and also we're about going to refactor this anyway. I think we're just going to move on from this. Can I like what we're in reference? Can I just close that one? Close it. Okay, the const functions. Let me revisit in a bit. Yeah, I'm gonna like not care about the map or else things. Doing pretty good. Trying to debug some issues I have with the Bevy game. New to Rust. Bevy, that's a game engine for us, right? I played around with the Rapier, which is the physics engine that they have in Bevy, right? Worked like a charm. It was really cool. Use the applicable self-for keyword self. Unnecessary structure repetition. Oh, because this we happen to be in use size. Using XPBD as a physics engine. Oh, so you don't have to use Rapier, you can use a different physics engine? That's always great. Dependency injection, right? It doesn't come with physics engine? What was it that Bevy came with that I was using a lot? Was it WGPU or was it eGUI or what was it? It was like I was using part of this, but I wasn't using Bevy. What was I using in it that it comes with? Was it the audio stuff? I was using something for that. I can't remember. Bevy book. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like looking for like what's in Bevy that maybe I remember using before. Was it WGPU? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I really like the idea of abstracting away the actual graphics API so that I don't have to have a port for Vulkan, Metal, OpenGL, all of those, and just program it once and then it does any mapping for me. I'm really into cross-platform stuff because I just hate the idea of like just porting because their API is different. I'm like, come on. Okay, there's more const function business. More map or else. I think we're just skipping those. Okay, yeah, it's this unnecessary structure name repetition. It's saying I should use self, and I kind of agree with that because this is implementation of self. There, I've hit a whole bunch of them at once. And again, selfie. Multi-cursor is cool, you know? It seems like every time I knock down some warnings, we get more. I wonder if it's just stopping at around 200 and saying, I'm not going to scare him into like 4,000 warnings. We'll just say that there are 216. And if he fixes some of them, we'll just tell him that there's, hey, don't wait. Guess what? There's more. Or how's it go? But wait, there's more. Actually, we're now under 200, so maybe Maybe there's a light at the end of this tunnel. Yeah, but these are all good suggestions, right? Because we'd have to rename these anyway if we were to, hold on, I'm trying to hit the delete. There we go. We would have to rename these anyway if we rename the impl. So self lets us rename the impl without touching all those other names. $188. $173. Well, I'm comforted that a lot of these are like the same error, just reported a lot of times. That means I'm not doing a lot of like different kinds of mistakes. And I wonder why this is in the nursery and not in the pedantic. Bevy seems like you can slap together any kind of code soup with config and it works reasonably well. That's a sign of two things done well: dependency injection and separation of concerns. So I like it when we point those things out. It has a really neat ECS. Cool. If you're used to C++ warnings, there's how many of them there are. Rust seems more lenient. I kind of see it as I'm still learning Rust, and so I get a lot more warnings and errors, and so it doesn't seem lenient. It seems more strict to me. In C++, I used to just hate warnings and errors, and I'd fix them right away. What's the current state of the WGP Raper experiment? It's done. I kind of finished it. I said, I've done as much as I'd like. I could run it. I can show you the completed workspace. It's just a playground, right? So new window. It doesn't do much, but we can run it for giggles. So cargo run release. I guess I must not have run it since I last updated Rust. Let that run in the background over here while we're working. Actually, I guess I can put it in another workspace. We'll come back to that. Let's show you what it looks like. I had fun working on it, and it was really just to play around with it, to learn the basics, and also some of the things you figure out when you're integrating the libraries together. I want to go back to that when I actually make something again using those libraries. And I'm like, how did I fit those together? And then I can go to that project and say, oh, that's how I fit it together. So in a lot of ways, I don't want it to be too complicated. I want it to be a simple project so that I can use it for reference without getting too lost in it, if that makes sense. Like, there's less chance of me like putting in bad design into it. If the simpler it is, the less likely I'll put in design flaws, right? If it's really just to serve as future reference. You think it's done yet? Can go take a look. Nope, still building. It's gonna take a while. Not sure why, but you seem to be able to write relatively simple Rust code and also make it roll 010. Yeah. Have you tried turning on these ones that I turned on just now, though? Pedantic and nursery. You might want to try those if you haven't, and then you get the real lint, which my understanding is pedantic are the things that most Rust developers would say that's too trivial for me to worry about, not important. But those like me that are really picky would want to know about. And then nursery are the things that might not even be correct at all. Like they're experimental. There's too much noise, but we're turning them on because there might be some diamonds in the rough, right? Pedantic gives you C++ compiler flashbacks. I can understand that. Don't worry, it means something nice in Rust. I usually turn on the pedantic warnings because To me, Rust is a more disciplined language. It disciplines you for memory management, lifetimes. So why not let it discipline you about style too, right? And a lot of the lints are stylistic points, and pedantic really is opinionated. So if you're okay conforming in style, then turn it on. But if not, then I mean maybe turn it on briefly to see if you agree with it. But if you don't agree, feel free to turn it off. I think most people would say it's fine to leave it off. The default is fine. Pedantic is off by default. You like pedantic warnings? Help you learn some of the... Yeah, me too. That's why I want to be challenged, because I will learn. And even if like some of these lints are like I don't agree with, there might be some insight in seeing another person's point of view. Because I might be like, I don't agree with it in this case, but that might be something to consider in general. So it's useful to think about that, right? Yet all of these are really, you know what? Why all of these are not self? Because actually, I'll show you why. If I were to delete all this, there's the quick fix, right? It puts value there. It doesn't put self. So it introduces the source of the lint. So I don't know if that comes from Rust Analyzer or something else, but they should really ought to make sure that the suggested change that the quick fix does not have any lints in it. So it should have generated a bunch of self match arms, right? To avoid the lint in the first place. And then I wouldn't have had, because I use it so much here, sort of blindly. If I was thinking about it at the time, I would have been like, hey, aren't we in the impl of value? So why don't we use self? Because the advantage of this is we can change the type name and not have to change it anywhere else. Also, it kind of reinforces the fact that we're operating on our own type. Just like self, the keyword for the implicit object that is tied to the method, reinforces the fact that it's the principal object that the method is operating on. So principal class, principal object, they both are self, only one's capitalized and the other is not. I think it makes sense to use it. But again, it's a pedantic rule because by default, it's maybe something you don't want to be warned about, right? Maybe not everyone agrees. There might be a lot of cases where it's like, doesn't matter. You're not going to get wrong behavior from using the type name redundantly. So maybe a lot of people probably would agree that they only really want to be warned about things in their code that are possible to lead to wrong behavior. And having like a stylistic lint whose only purpose is to like reinforce some association, it's like, we're not going to have a bug because of that. It's just going to be like maybe redundantly specified, right? So why bother? And yeah, I can agree with that. Hey, we're down to 34 warnings, even with the nursery. I feel like if we can get rid of all the nursery warnings, that we'll be like able to flex. Say not only do we have no pedantic warnings, but we have no nursery warnings. You know what would be really cool is if we get rid of all the warnings, even in nursery mode, and I just delete this, and then I wait for someone to come in and chat and say, oh, I see your warning pedantic, but haha, what if you enable nursery? And I'm like, let's see. Haha, still no warnings. They were that good. It's like a getting ready to flex about our own code. Because inevitably someone's going to run in and say, I know how I can embarrass them. I can say, you do have warnings, you just have them disabled. Here, enable nursery mode. See, this is the evil side of me. It's like I'm laying a trap. Oh, our experiment is done compiling, and it's just presented me with its window. There we go. So this is the final state of the graphics experiment. So I can throw cubes around. It's supposed to make noise, but it's not. We can add cubes. I wonder what happened to the sound. Oh, there's some sound. Can you hear that when they collide? Detonate? The detonate didn't make a whole lot of sound. Can add a bunch at once. Detonate, kaboom. So I don't know. The last thing I think I added was I added this smooth camera using dolly. So like it's a smoothly panning camera. It looks more realistic, right? It looks like the camera really is panning like a real camera would. It has its own momentum. And really we're setting the target for the camera and it kind of like swivels to where we tell it to go to. So I could have done a lot more with this, but I felt like I'm getting the hang of it. I've added the fundamentals of everything. Like we have textured models, we have colliders, playing around with it with changing the size of something dynamically. What else did I have? I can kick an object, so we can like give it apply a force to it. We're also tracking the number of cubes, so when that cube that fell off the platform falls far enough, we destroy it. So it's like, okay, I hit all the fundamental things. I know a lot of viewers probably wanted me to do more, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to I didn't want it to be a project that kept dragging on. And I did start to get some people in chat saying, "Are you still working on this thing? Why haven't you done anything new?" And it's like, well, I've been doing new things, but they're hard to see because they don't change anything visible in the graphics. You are driving partially local and can implement equal. Okay. There. Satisfied? It is satisfied. Cognitive complexity of 58 over 25? How is it 58 out of 25? And what does cognitive complexity mean? Let's see if I agree with this. Well, no, this is a test that on purpose tests a lot of things. So yeah, we're going to definitely say that, yeah, this is complex. The way I see it, these allows serve two purposes. One, they keep us from seeing the same warning diagnostic again in the future. And two, they make a claim about the code. So this is claiming that, yes, we know there are too many lines. And yes, we know it's too complex. So if I went and searched for allows later, like I'm like, hey, let's refactor. We feel like refactoring the functions that have too many lines. I could actually just search for that and find it. And now if I felt like I needed to justify why we're allowing it, I might add a comment saying, we allow this function to be complex and long because it's a complicated test. Like it just has to be complicated. Okay, so it's just constant functions and mapper. So I don't agree with the mapper else one at a fundamental level because I think it makes the code look worse. So I'm just going to globally suppress it. How do I do that? Option if let else. So would that be like an allow? I don't know if it's a clippy thing or not. It is. So that's just going to allow that globally. So, and we'll say why. Almost all instances of this lint suggest restructuring, or not restructuring, but rewriting the code to use a form which breaks it up into two function objects and I find that harder to read and harder to read than the original. That's my justification for allowing that. How come, oh, because I don't have an exclamation mark in front. Like, why is it removing the blank line. Okay, so now we just have we have three things that could be a const function. So why don't we just make it const? It can be, so why not just make it? We were saying earlier that maybe in a trait or API, we don't want to do this because it might form an expectation that code will start to rely on, and then we will be stuck that it will have to be const. But I think in these cases, it's fine. It goes in front, right? Hey, we have no warnings, even with nursery turned on. So now I can turn it off. Why don't we just leave it on then? Because we don't regret it. So we're leaving all the warnings on now. You're playing 6D chess? Hold on, I missed some stuff. Quick fix twice. You're playing 6D chess. Pretty cool. It runs very stably. Oh, the graphics thing? Yeah. You're making a game where the physics engine is the absolute king of the hill, and you ran into some issues with Rapier. Oh, go over those issues. I'm kind of curious. Because so far I've been happy with Rapier and it's been just fine. There's one thing that it had a hard time doing, and that was telling me about objects that went too far down. So I had to make like a custom query where I had to like ask it for I guess I should just show that, right? It was in here. Oh, this is the dumping out the 3D model of the mascot, the Rust mascot, and I never actually used it. I just imported it, and that's as far as I got. Ferris, that's right. We brought in Ferris, and I never used him. So that would have been in physics world. Or is it in my apps, just the top level app? It might have been there. Wait, I guess it's still parsing. It doesn't know the overall structure. I think it's here somewhere. Handle redraw. It might have been this one. Yeah, this is it. So I didn't like having to iterate all colliders in the physics world just to find the ones that had fallen far enough. I would have preferred, since I know the physics engine already iterates all the colliders, I would have preferred a way to be able to tell the physics engine, hey, call me back if any collider matches this predicate, right? Just call me back, and then I'll delete it immediately, right? I'll take it off your hands. You don't have to worry about if this collides with anything, because poof, it's gone. And there was no way to do that I could find. So I had to manually iterate all the colliders in the world, filter them to find the ones that were lost, and then delete them. Oh, yeah, and the other thing that was sort of irritating is you can't delete them while you're iterating them, so I had to find them, collect them, and then delete them. Does naming parameters of the map or else help? I don't know. I guess it's worth trying out to see, because I don't want to be just deciding by I don't want to establish dogma, right? I don't want to say I'm just not doing it. I want to have a reason why I'm not doing it. Could have used vec retain maybe instead of collect. The problem I think here is that when we get a collider, I think we're not allowed to call in destroy object. We weren't allowed to call remove collider while we're iterating it. I think it's because colliders gives us a borrow. it is not, doesn't really show that, but I think that's their iterator, right? You get like a borrow that comes from the colliders itself, right? Or this would be the collider set. So once I have that borrow, I can't come in and do another borrow here to remove it, because that requires, I think this requires mutable access to colliders. Yeah, it's the fact that you need a mutable reference. So you can't have a borrowed collider handle and then try to remove it, because it'll say, well, I can't get the collider set mutably because you still have a borrow, you still have the collider out. Another way you can say that this makes sense is that you can't destroy it if you're still borrowing it, right? And maybe it's in a list, and destroying it actually changes the organization of things in the list, and now the iterator is invalidated. So that's a common problem with C++, by the way. If you iterate through something and then you decide to remove it from the thing you're iterating, you can invalidate your iterator. And Rust just doesn't allow that. The borrow checker prevents that from happening. So you don't have to worry about it. The compiler worries about it for you. And the general solution in both cases, whether the borrow checker or you have a bug because your iterator is invalid, is you first collect it to something else, and then remove it. And then a cheap way to do this is take all the colliders and just copy all of them. Then you have two collections, one's a mirror of the other, and you just use one to delete from the other. But that's super inefficient. Separate collection deletion. Yeah, in this case, it's the same set though. So it kind of makes sense that you want to first identify what you're about to delete and then do all the deletion after you're done with the iterator. Thought the structure is a bit more simple. And there's Java concurrent modification exception. It's probably C#'s clone of that. So yeah, that was I think the most difficult thing that I ran into is like, I don't know how to, like, it seems like a simple thing and maybe a common thing. Like there are probably a lot of games where you just have objects that fall through the world and they just start falling forever because there's not colliding with anything, right? So you kind of want to be able to say to the game engine, let me know if any object falls past a certain point, and then most likely we'll just delete it. If not, maybe we take it and we reset its position, put it somewhere else. And the fact that Rapier didn't have it at all, I'm like, seems like something it should have. All right. Okay, I've done this for this project, but what if I haven't done this for the other projects? And it might not be too bad, or it might be a total disaster. But to put it on the Lexer too, not both at the same time, we'll try first the pedantic. Okay, maybe not too bad. This is the must use attribute, right? Which makes sense. We want to have that. Map, unwrap, or else on result value. This can be done more directly by calling map or else. Map or else. Again, it's the map or else that it would like me to do. Oh, actually, that's kind of funny. Into. But does that make sense? I mean, I guess it's not any worse than that. I think I'll accept that one. That's the one time I'm accepting the map or else. Because it doesn't really matter which one comes first. They're both equivalent. Is it telling me about a super long integer? Yeah, we should probably mark every third digit, right? Every third. So this is one of those constants I still have not memorized. It is the largest positive unsigned integer. Millions, billions, trillions, quadrillions, like 9 quintillion, 223 quadrillion, 372 trillion, 36 billion, 854 million, 775,808. It's the largest positive number. In a binary, that's 1000000. What is it that I'm making? Okay, well, before you leave, let me give you a quick demo if I can click the right thing. So let's say you have a binary file, like a GIF file, right? And to us humans, it looks like this. To computer, it looks like this. And let's say we're just interested in learning the format and we want to be able to like have a smart hex editor that we can click on a byte and it would tell us what it means, right? Most hex editors, all they can tell you is it's 42. It's like, okay, but why do we have a 42 there? So the idea that I'm just playing around with to have fun is that we can describe the format using a language that's like structural and functional. So it defines the overall structure of a GIF file and also has some functional elements. You can have loops, you can have conditionals. So this is like a codified format specification for GIF. And then what we do with it, if I do a cargo run, if this still works and I didn't break it, it compiles the specification into an abstract syntax tree in memory, and then it does an in-order traversal of that along with the bytes of the file, and basically gives you a breakdown of what every byte means. It had you at hello. Explain plus plus. That was just explain plus. That was pretty quick, wasn't it? Usually I go on for about 10 minutes. Plus unexpected. Oh yeah, because I forgot. I need to go fix the syntax. Shit. So what I'll do is I'll just run the old version, which still works. The C++ version. Go to the end, go to the beginning. So it figures out that, oh, the first 3 bytes, that's the header signature. String, signature, 24 bits. Version number, then the logical screen width, 300. So it's a 300 by 300 image. And then it figures out what every byte means. So conceptually, it's like Wireshark, only for any kind of data that you want. You have a smart hex editor. You click here, and it kind of gives you a breakdown of what it means. Why is it in 2023 we hear about this the first time? Well, it's not the first time. People have come into chat and pointed out a few things that are like this. So one of them was the 010 editor. And it's like a smart programmable hex editor. So you can give it a grammar or a format spec of some kind, and it like helps you look at data like that. And another one's Wireshark. And then there's another one that I forgot. Oh, it was libmagic. Libmagic does a similar thing, but very limited. It just tells you what kind of file it is based off of parsing the beginning of it. And there are professional tools that do this sort of thing too, but another word for this is it's a programmable decoder. You can program in how to decode data and make sense of it. But it's not as useful as a real decoder because like this doesn't actually show the pixels on the screen or anything like that. It's just giving us like the first pass. So it tells us what all the bytes mean, and then it's up to us to like do something with that. Like how I would show a GIF on the screen is, yeah, we have the width and height in it, and then if we keep going down, we have the global color table, but we still have to take the compressed blocks, string them together, decompress it, and then index into the right color table to draw the pixels at the correct color in the correct spot on the screen. So it's just it's not super totally useful. It's kind of like just a smart hex editor, and it has certain fun and practical applications, but it's not that big a deal. Did I get rid of all the warnings? And we're just not seeing it, or do I need to go back here? I guess I did, right? There's no more. No, there are warnings. 9 of them. But yeah, hope you have a great rest of your day. If you have to go, that's fine. File in Unix does that, yes. File, I think, uses libmagic. Yeah, it doesn't break down the whole file. It just reads enough of the beginning of the file to tell you a good guess. Right, 99.9% sure that this is a JPEG, for example. Consider using string new. Sure. Is it just going to be 9 instances of that, or no? Okay, these might be legit. It might wrap, but that's the whole point of this. Make signed integer, right? In the lexer. Yeah, I think that's the whole point of this, so we're going to allow this specifically. Cool. This might truncate, right? In this case, it won't. This is sort of a problematic parser anyway. Like, as in, it's kind of gonna rub the lint the wrong way. This argument, 4 byte, is passed by reference to be more efficient. Was there a reason why I did a reference to a character? I actually don't know why. Why did I do that? Well, it's fixed now. You implemented some codec for BR from ASN1. So it's, yeah, but you probably wrote the you didn't probably you so hold a second. Yeah, so that is similar to what I'm doing. So instead of ASN1, I have my own grammar. So it's sort of arguable whether ASN1 is the best way to describe a format, or if maybe the way I have it has some advantages. But yeah, it does sound similar. Yeah, this thing, that's why I'm not going to stop at just having it dump out all this stuff, because I think this is really just a first pass. This sort of, the data that this tool is going to spit out is really just meant to go into another tool, which will leverage the information obtained from this. So I want to do a couple things. I want to have a GUI so that a human can pick what they want, and then I want to be able to script it. So I might want a script that's, the whole job of it is to grab the global color table and show it on the screen. And so it'll use this tool to quickly locate the global color table and extract it as a big vector. The data approach would be a godsend back then. Oh, I see. Yeah, well, maybe someday I'll be able to open source this and help other people, but yeah. Getting into stuff I don't really want to talk about, so let's move on. The pedantic we're done. Do I dare turn on the nursery? I dare. What do I get? 73. Const. Sure. 72. If let sum could be expressed better with equality. Oh, sure. Let it do that. Fine. Yeah. That's good. If let else. Yeah, it's this map or else, right? That I don't really. Let's suppress that one. Let's suppress this one in the other library too, right? And actually, while I'm at it, let's do the missing header docs one as well. Okay, 70. Yes, that is const actually. Oh, we don't need a mutable reference. Cool. I like to see those warnings. Why are those not pedantic warnings? Wouldn't that would have been useful to know before. Yeah, because slice doesn't need mutable access. Probably for the same reason we were saying that we might not want to be forced to mark it const, because in the future we might need mutable access. And making it immutable might lock us into an API that we don't want. But this lexer is pretty crystallized at this point. We're not changing it too much. Oh yeah, this is gonna say if you're gonna do partial equal, just do equal. This is the self thing, right? Oh, I gotta be careful here. That and that, but not the other two. Oh yeah, it's because for that. Okay, get all 55 of these at once. Self. Nice. So we have all these done. Hey, I have one more library I want to do this on. Parser. Let's do nursery last. Actually, is this going to lint into the generated Rust code? I might have to like suppress that, right? Let's see if it does go into that. I guess it's not. It's hitting my tests. It doesn't like them. Okay, as long as it doesn't go into the generated code, because there's not much I can do about generated code. Mortal Al or Mortal AI, how are you doing? I can't actually see if that's an I or an L. Have you heard about Cheat-O-Matic in the back in the days of Diablo 1? No, but I used to cheat on wizardry on the Apple II. I used a track and sector. This is ancient lore. So Apple II track and sector. Let's see if it's even on the internet. Track and sector. It's called track and sector. Okay, I don't even see it because it's predates the internet by like a lot. So this is I think it was called Track and Sector, this utility for Apple II floppy disks that you can go edit like a hex editor your floppy disk. And so I would take the Wizardry 2 game disk and I was able to find by looking at the strings where my characters save where my character data was saved, right? And I'd go in there and I'd hit every byte and turn it to an FF and see if the game would load. And I would do that over and over again for different bytes until I found the byte that had my character's experience points in it. And then when I hit it, I would suddenly have 1 billion experience points. And I'd be like, okay, cool. No more grinding in this stupid game. Now I get to just go to max or like hundreds of levels and have fun and not have to like the slow grind of that game just kind of got to me as a kid, you know? So that's the closest to something like Cheat-O-Matic is I would hex edit the game disk and then I wouldn't have to grind. And if I had this tool, I'd be able to see exactly where the experience points were stored and I'd be able to see fiddle other things, right? That's actually one of the uses of this tool is for any kind of serialized data saved in like a save game or other file. We could use this tool to study and maybe repair or operate on or script the extraction or modification of such data. We wouldn't have to go to the original serialization code and like require that. So this is telling me I should just use into, right? Which I agree with. That should just be into. Okay, what you got, error? So it just doesn't like the word error. I kind of agree with this. It should just be like at the top level in the lib, it should just be called error, right? Not parser error. I'm kind of hesitant to like just change it. What could go wrong if I change it here? Probably a lot of things. Did I completely screw everything up now? Yes, the grammar input, the parser generator input needs to be changed because it's not going to automatically change it here. Parser error. Replace with error. Okay. Maybe it's not too bad. With cheat magic, you enter your current amount of gold. And change the amount of game, enter in the tool until it locates where it is in memory. Oh, so it automated the process of reverse engineering it. I had to do that manually back in the day. And I never actually decoded what the experience points was. I just hit it with an FF and it would just explode to a huge, I was probably hitting the upper most significant figure of the experience points. And it was sort of ridiculous because if you could actually keep in the training grounds, you could keep gaining levels until like you overflowed the level counter and it would crash the game. And so you'd like only gain enough levels to be like, it doesn't matter anymore, and then stop without crashing the game. Okay, so I thought that actually that would lead us to ruin by changing the error type, but it didn't. So that's cool. Now it's just called error. Cargo Clippy. So that was it for pedantic on the parser. That wasn't very much at all. So maybe oh no, we have warnings. Oh, and it's all in the parser generated stuff. I can't do much about that. 11,421 warnings. So if there's a way to suppress pedantic for a single module, I would do that. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna have dinner in 40 minutes. So I'll probably end the stream in a half an hour. And I might have time to have a second stream today. So is there a way to allow pedantic for one module that's auto-generated? I don't know how to do that. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT. So can't do this on stream because I'm super paranoid of it showing my identity. So I'm gonna ask it off stream. Hey ChatGPT, is there a way to suppress all warnings in a Rust source file that is auto-generated without suppressing warnings in other files of the same crate? And ChatGPT says you can suppress warnings for specific items, e.g. functions modules, using the pound allow warnings. However, if you want to suppress warnings for an entire file, you need to use the pound exclamation point allow warnings attribute at the beginning of the file. If you want to do this for an auto-generated file without affecting other files, you need to organize your project in a way that separates auto-generated code from manually written code. Okay. So it wants to put under my crate, under source, a main and auto-generated RS. And in auto-generated RS, it wants me to actually add something, but that is modifying an auto-generated file, which is a no-no. Okay, what I can't is there a way to do that without manually modifying the auto-generated source file? See what it says. If you want to suppress warnings in an auto-generated file without manually modifying, you could consider using conditional compilation directives in your main source file. Okay, so if the auto-generated file is in a module, we can do a config allow warning, don't allow warnings, and then do an include. Oh, that's really a roundabout way to do it. It said to try this. said to do that. In this example, autogenerator.rs would be your auto-generated source file. The include would insert the contents into the module, and then allow warnings would suppress warnings for that. Keep in mind this approach makes use of conditional compilation, which means that this module will only be included if your target environment is not unknown. You might need to adjust this condition based on your specific use case. Actually, why would I even need a configuration attribute? Wouldn't I just want to do this always? Problem I have is that like it's including this target debug parse build parser blah out grammar automatically. I don't know how to turn that off. So the structure is that we're pulling in a build dependency of Lollipop, and we have a build. And I think that's just when it discovers a Lollipop file, it generates a Rust file and then automatically adds that. And there's really, I don't know of a way, unless Lollipop util or Lollipop has something to do it. There's no way for me to like have it not compile that directly, but let me include it with a opt out of warnings thing. Oh, I think it deserves a check. Or I could ask ChatGPT. I'm using Lollipop to generate these auto-generated files. Is there a way to configure Lollipop to suppress warnings in the code it generates? Okay, ChatGPT. As of my last training data in January 2022, Lollipop does not provide a direct way to suppress warnings in the generated code. Lollipop generates code using Rust macros, and it does not have explicit configuration options to suppress warnings. However, you might do a couple workarounds. Use allow warnings inside the auto-generated file. If you have control over templates Lollipop uses, you could include it at the beginning of the auto-generated file. This way it suppresses warnings for that specific file, or wrap the auto-generated code in a module. Actually, that's a good point. Do we get to inject code in at the top? So I do have these uses. Maybe there I can do allow warnings. Here? It didn't like it. It said unexpected token. That's an unexpected token. Yeah, ChatGPT says that maybe I could, if I have control over the templates that it uses, I can include it in the template. So maybe, is there a way, maybe Lollipop would say, that's logos. Maybe advanced setup. Customizing the build process. You can have a configuration struct. Like if maybe there's like suppress warnings. Emit rerun directives. So where are these documented? Here? Sender, generate, never use features? Maybe there's a feature or something. Log verbose. That's logs. Okay, that's interesting. So I could have it like log more if I wanted. Generating source tree right in the same directory as the input files. If this option is enabled, you have to load the parser as well. Actually, maybe this is what I want to do. So if I generate it in the source tree, and then I could have the mod, but I could have the warning suppressed over it. That's one way we could do it. Emit report. I'm just hoping that there's like a more direct way. Features? Huh, I don't know. This is the one thing we're using is process file, right? Process root. Using process root. That's not part of configuration. That's a direct method of lollipop. So yeah, maybe generate in source tree is what I want. That also has the advantage of I can check it in, right? And because force build is off, it won't regenerate it. That would also have the advantage of if lollipop like ceases to exist, I would still have its last generated source, right? So what if I try that? So how do I use the configuration? So I do lollipop configuration new and then my stuff. Process root simply applies the default configuration. You can use it for more. So it's why? So the difference is between process current. So do I do process root on the configuration then? So this is what it used to be. Instead, we're doing lollipop configuration new dot generating source tree dot process. Well, there's no process root, so I just process current directory, like it said, and that's it. What's the warning I get for that? Unused result. Well, they don't use it either, so do I just unwrap it? I think that's a oversight in their documentation. They forgot the unwrap. They had it up here, but they don't have it down there. Okay, so if I cargo build now, I'll get a huge file that shows up, right? I'm looking for it. No, because this still has this. We need to delete that. Okay. It should populate a file here all of a sudden, like a huge Rust file. There it is, grammar.rs. It's still looking, it still finds a grammar.rs. I guess I have to do cargo clean. Yeah, okay, so we have an auto-generated file, so I can do a mod with a little warning suppression over it. Wait, what? Could not. It's still building something. Oh, because of this. I see. So I don't want that. I think. Right. That is the pulls in the mod for it. Instead, I want to manually pull it in. Right, like that. I guess I need to do pub mod grammar, right? Because I'm gonna get errors. 1,000 warnings. Actually, is it building now? So I don't need to make it public? Huh. I just get warnings, but it actually works. So cargo next test run will work. Okay, then yeah, I think we suppress the warnings here, right? So I just allow warnings. That's what ChatGPT said to do, but I don't know if it's... Oh, I think that did it. Hopefully it doesn't go into the grammar now. Yes, okay, that did it. So now the grammar warnings are gone, and we're just dealing with our own stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. That actually helped. Add allow clippy all to generated files number 632. Oh, so they have a PR to do it? Well, it wasn't too hard, and actually I kind of like the idea that the grammar shows up here. So I could look at it, I could find it easier. I never was really comfortable with it being in the build folder. As weird as that sounds, like I kind of want it to be there. It's still finding warnings though. Okay, it's gonna find warnings if I open it. If I don't open it, it's not counting them, right? So we didn't need that line at all. Okay. This is identical to another arm. Extra token. Okay, it's just saying it's unreachable. So it wants me to like say that and this are both unreachable. And I'm fine with that. Oh, no, it wasn't that one. It was a previous one, right? It was invalid token. Are both unreachable. Oh, I have to do this out. Yeah. Okay. Undo for a while. I have to take the whole thing. This whole thing. Put it there. Okay. And then I can delete that. Next warning. Passed by value, but not consumed by the function body. But this is a test, right? This is used everywhere, so this would be a real pain. How come it's not showing me the actual call? What? Call hierarchy. It's not actually jumping to the file for some reason. Why not? I think I broke it. I broke it. I broke it. Does this work? This works. But this doesn't work. Huh. Oh, because those functions are generated by test case. That's why. Okay, I think I want to. Well, if I change this, I get a bunch of errors, right? Only 7 errors. Maybe it's not too bad. So I need to like do stuff like this. You know, I don't like that one. I think this is fine to use it on a test. Allow. Okay. Redundant closure. Just do toString to string. What is that, like str? Okay, I guessed it. No, I didn't guess it. Okay. it was helping me, and then it stopped helping me. Okay, it's standard string to string. Okay. Cause I don't like that. I just want to say that. Okay. The light bulb doesn't actually, it's the same as hitting command dot for me, I think. Okay, let me test that theory. Light bulb. It's just ignore this test. Yeah, I wish that the light bulb did it. Okay, it's the same as the control dot. That's what I'm doing. I'm hitting it with the keyboard combination. So yeah, it's fine. It's just sometimes it gets confused and it doesn't know how to do the import automatically. This is the same problem, right? Needless. Wow. Okay. Cursor must be in the right location. That is true. A couple places where we do this. To string. We're gonna end up hitting this in all the expression tiers, aren't we? So I should just hit them all. Yep. Actually, I have a better idea. I can express this throughout all of the tests. So why don't I just take this and go up the chain to tests and in fact go even higher, one level higher up under lib under tests. I do that. Because why say it a bunch of times when you only need to say it once for all of your tests? Tests, I don't mind suppressing warnings in tests. Not as much. I think the rules over tests should be a little bit more relaxed. This, I'm okay fixing. Actually, how many times do we do S2 string? Only 2 more times? Okay, fine. Only 2 more times. Huh, I wonder how it got the import. Okay, cool. We're no warnings, no errors. Do I dare turn on the nursery warnings? Here we go. Only 7 would be nice. It's still working though. 8. Only 8? That's not bad. And it's all this stuff which I do want to fix. Yeah. It's kind of slow to update right now. It's like what? It's encountering that parser that's 100,000 lines long and running through it again just to make sure. Another reason to keep the parser in its own library. Once we're done with it, we don't want to affect our the speed of our compilation. Let it be compiled once in a separate library and then we don't touch it anymore. No warnings. This is awesome. So we've defeated warnings. We have the most pedantic checks, and we have no warnings at all. Excellent. Okay, then with the time I have left, I want to start. Oh, hold on. I want to first send this out of the virtual machine, so in case I really screw up, I can recover. I want to go embark on that to do, which was to make data value include nil. Yeah, which covers all four of these. And I'll do these later when I document the library. When I'm in a documentation kind of mood. Okay, so yeah, I want to try. This is going to be like really tough. Basically, there are a lot of places where we have option data value. Let's count them. 30 places. The 30 places where we have option value that are going to become just data value, right? And we have more that are option value, 10 more. So we have 40 places that are going to change if we do this, including our to-do list. So the root of it is in data, right? In data value, right here. So fundamentally, if we add nil, everywhere it breaks, we're going to change stuff, right? So nil, I think shouldn't that just be false? False, right? What about nil for size? Okay, where is this called from? Determine limit. So I'm only using it here, and it looks like the semantic is if it's nil, it's some none anyway. So that would mean, what's the none? We have no value, right? No, it means no bound at all. So we'll have to change this then, because I won't want to map it to try from usize. Because it's a special case. It's not case 3 and it's not case 2, it's case 1. So we have to like, I guess what we do is we first see if it's nil, then limit is none. Otherwise, we try to convert it from usize. So that means if I do end up trying from, we want an error. Something like nil cannot be cast to size. Okay, and then finally we get to say like nil is f.write string nil question mark. No? Oh, why did it add all these? Oh, because it doesn't know that all the self things are already match arms that it supports. Okay, so rank 8, because I can. Although, alphabetically speaking, it should be 3, which means that should be 4. They all get bumped. Yeah, gonna have to end soon. So I'll have to finish this later. So, yeah, a lot of this is just the same, right? Some value nil. Cannot convert nil to unsigned integer. Cannot convert nil to signed integer. Cannot convert nil to decimal. Whoops. Decimal. What's with the blue light bulb? Blue light bulb. I don't know. I noticed that too, and I'm like, maybe it's just because I had the mouse over it. Nil is the type of nil is nil. Non-exhaustive patterns. Adding nils together. Adding nils is undefined. I have a feeling that we're going to have this in a lot of places. Dividing. Nil is undefined. Actually, if you can convert a nil to a nil, well, we can't cast to nil, right? Actually, isn't it always false? What if they're both nil? Actually, it would be if something equals nil should only be true if it's nil itself, right? So it should be this value equals. So it should be okay. Some self boolean value equals, again, some self nil. Do you reference? There. So it's true if it's nil, false if it's not nil. And the not equals is the opposite of that. Not equal. Not equal to nil. Okay, back to these, right? Order of nil is undefined. Actually, hold on. Greater than or equal to, should I just say it's always true? If it's nil? No, it doesn't make sense to ever do a greater than or equal to if nil is on either side, right? Same thing with greater than. The equal to, like, does make sense to me, but order doesn't make sense. Equality makes sense, order doesn't, in other words. So less than less than or equal to greater than, all undefined. Modulo. Dividing nil is undefined. Multiplying nil is undefined. Subtracting nil is undefined. So technically, it builds now, but nothing's actually going to use that nil value. So now that nil's in there, though, it's an alternative that I could start leveraging to remove option value. Probably the best way to drive it would be to make in the grammar, not this one, but the lollipop one, where we have nil. Where we use expression nil. So expression nil. Expression, so here. wherever this works, find all references, right? That we, instead of returning OK none, we return OK sum nil, and then let that break my unit tests. Interesting. I guess I don't have a test that makes sure that nil evaluates to none right now. This is a parser test, but I don't have an ingestion test for it. Okay, well, I gotta go anyway. I might be back after dinner though. So in the meantime, let's watch something else. Following. Who am I following? Zorkenheimer's going. Oh, so is Chris. But he's not working right now. He's co-working. Let's go watch Zorkenheimer. Oh, you're welcome. I might be back. Depends on how long dinner goes and stuff like that. We'll see. So maybe check back in half an hour to an hour. I might be streaming again. Otherwise, if you have fun in Zorkenheimer's stream, definitely stay there. Not sure what he's working on, but let's see. See you later.